Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Raising the Curtain, a Bloomington Normal Theater podcast with Ashleigh Ray Lynn. Today, I am here with two individuals who are acting in the production of Rock of Ages at Community Players Theater. I'm here with Nick and Jessa Benson. How are you guys?
Good, how are you?
We're peachy. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing great.
Good. So, we are here to talk about Rock of Ages. Let's just kind of delve right into this. Jessa, let's start with you. Just tell us who you are, your involvement with CPT, theater background, and why Rock of Ages.
Hi, well, my name is Jessa Benson, and I first came to CPT back in 2017 when I moved to the area for grad school. Saw that online they were doing a production of The Little Mermaid and just knew I wanted to be involved. And after that production, just stuck around and really loved it here for the community. It's where actually Nick and I met. And it's just been a really great place. In Rock of Ages, I drew me specifically to Rock of Ages was honestly just the dancing. I wanted to be honest, to get out of the house, and also to do a show with Nick, which is fun.
Absolutely. Nick, what about you?
Well, I've been doing stuff with community players. Don't remember the year, but ever since Shrek, that wonderful show way back when, um, I came to CPT just because I had kind of taken a little break from doing theater, and I just wanted to get back into doing it. And it just happened to be that was the show, and this was the place, and it's become a second home. So that all worked out just wonderfully for me. And like Jessa said, met my wife there. That's a wonderful little side story. Um, in Rock of Ages, I play Lonnie Barnett, uh, your resident stage sound guy, but also pretty much the narrator of the show, which is just a blast. And doing it because Brett's directing it and kept hounding me saying he'd be upset if I didn't do the show. And it's right up, also right up my alley. This tends to be the type of character people think of me as. So it's been fun.
Good. So, you've already completed one weekend of shows. I'm a little behind schedule on stuff here, but that's okay. So, you guys have two more weekends. What has the response been like from the people who saw it opening weekend?
I think audiences just had a great time. Seeing people afterwards just said that was so fun. Enjoyed, especially having a live band on stage and just the energy. Plus, it's songs that people know. So hopefully that makes it more inviting for audiences that may not have come or stepped into CPT before.
Yeah, it's been great because this brings in a different audience from what we're used to. Just it being a jukebox musical, it's a little more approachable for people that may not come to a lot of theater, and it's just meant to be fun. So it's just nice to be able to go in, know you're just doing pure entertainment and getting to have a blast while doing it.
Absolutely. And a lot of the things that I'm seeing from interviews that Brett, the director, has done, or just people being involved with the show, like it's these iconic, hair and glam rock 80s songs that everybody loves with a bit of a cheesy plot to kind of tie it all together. Jessa, would you mind talking a little bit about what the story of the show's about?
Absolutely. So the story is set in the 80s, obviously. In LA, a Western girl is following her dream, decides of LA to pursue acting, but it doesn't quite go as planned. We meet Sherry, that character, who then runs into Drew, who works at the bourbon room of the bar, and we get to go through their love story, how they get together, what things happen, as well as saving the iconic bourbon room and what happens. So you'll have to come see the show to actually find out if it does get saved.
Yeah. And then, Nick, what are some of these iconic songs that help tell the story that people would recognize?
Oh, there are so many of them, and I just know them as I need to run on stage and do this real quick. But no, like high enough. We've got Journey, we've got Pat Benatar, like Hit Me With Your Best Shot, Don't Stop Believing. Basically, if you've belted them out at the top of your lungs at 11:30 at a bar when all these songs will come on, they are all here. I try to remember. There's like it feels like 30 something songs in this. It is
It's a lot.
there's just constant music. It is constant movement and constant music. So you're never sitting too long without getting to sing along in your seat.
All right. And then so we're obviously taking place in a bar, about a relationship. What is this? I don't want to say subject matter, but is this a family friendly show? Is this maybe leave the kids at home? Is this what kind of show is this?
Absolutely leave the kiddos at home. It is a parents' night out, fun night out, adult only. Would recommend maybe high school if parents like look into the subject matter, but it's definitely an adult friendly for show. Adult friendly. I don't know if that's even a phrase, but apparently that's what I used today.
Adult friendly only, maybe?
Yes, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
That works.
definitely. Definitely check out the website, check out if there's any warnings for it, which there are a lot. Um Even like stuff that's not adult content, there's a lot of lighting effects, there's a lot of haze. I'm getting very rock concert feel.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Absolutely.
All right, Dan Virtue, our lighting extraordinaire, has had a blast doing this show, especially adding the haze. He knew he got to do laser effects. He is, I think, up until the last day of tech, just kept playing,
Mhm.
knowing he wanted as much as he could possibly fit on that stage as possible, and it plays. People have talked about how great it looks, and that's just Dan doing his thing, and it's fun to hear what's happening behind me because I never really know what's happening behind me because I'm usually talking to the audience, but I
Right.
get some great comments like, "Well, this scene looked amazing." I'm like, "Yeah, it's Dan. Dan had fun."
That's awesome. Yeah, no, Dan is definitely a lighting extraordinaire and has definitely had a chance to play with this show. And it's really cool, especially once you add all the haze and the lights just add a different element than what they normally do. Which is
Hmm.
really cool. So, one thing I do want to ask you guys. So, obviously, music is very different than traditional musical theater. It's causing you to probably use different, parts of your voice that you don't traditionally use on stage. What were your music rehearsals like, and how has it been on your singing voices, speaking voices, and what are you having to do possibly differently since the music's so different?
I know I have a background more in the classical musical theater side, most recently playing Mary Poppins, which was a very different style to
Yeah.
sing versus now. Um, Music rehearsals were similar going into each show, but even though a lot of people songs, I really only knew two or three. So it was really a matter of listening almost to the actual recordings of the songs just to get a better feel for because we want to make it our own sound, if that makes sense. As
Yeah.
for like vocally, I'm still singing high, fun fact. But it's coming from a different place, not in a different place. I sing the same note as I did if you came to Mary Poppins. That is in the show at one point, but um, it's just again a different approach because it's rock music.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And then,
going along with that, Leah from day one, our music director, was very much stressing that this isn't classical. It's not super pretty. Like, you want it to sound good, but it's supposed to sound like rock, but at the same time stressing how to do it safely and how to do it in a proper way so that we can keep doing the show night after night, um, and keep ourselves healthy doing so, which has been a very much needed aspect of this rehearsal process.
yeah. So obviously I know you two, but Jessa, are you typically a soprano and Nick, you're typically a tenor? What are your normal voice parts?
Yes, I'm typically a soprano.
I am a baritone that seems to
Ah,
keep getting pushed higher and higher as shows go on.
I was gonna say Lonnie gets pretty up there.
He does. He really does. But it's it's a blast, and it's been great working with them to kind of make sure I find a good, safe way of doing it, and also still rocking out as my character should
Right.
always do.
Overall, this show is just high. I remember
Yeah.
being in rehearsals and our poor basses just hearing like, "Hey, take it up the octave," like every rehearsal. It is a show that is just high.
Yeah. high vocally, high energy, high everything.
Yes.
Can we take it high enough? I don't know. I'm
Oh, pun
sorry. I didn't
intended.
mean to
But
make it a pun, but it just happened.
no, that's okay. I loved it. What's your guys' favorite song in the show? Not necessarily when you sing, but just in general.
Even though I made it a joke high
High
enough.
enough.
And then
High
I,
enough. I love that. Um, yeah.
yeah, no, it's good. I think honestly, like I can't think of a bad song in the show. I like all of them. Um, I have to, okay, I'm gonna be a little conceited and give myself a shameless plug here. So I was the costume designer for the show. Um, Nick, what's your favorite costume that you
As you
wear?
should.
Da, 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 da. Well, it's not the full costume, but you know my answer is going to be the lovely Lucille hairpiece that I wear that I got to wear the last time in Wedding Singer, which, if you didn't see that, audience, is a lovely feathered mullet of a wig. And for my baldness, it is lovely to see every once in a while. That's my favorite thing by far. That and the gloves. I'm really having fun with
The moto gloves.
the metal studded gloves. Adds a whole feel to the character. I love it.
And then Nick, I'm gonna also ask you this. What's your favorite costume that you don't wear?
Ooh, alone. It's Dennis's outfit with the brown leather coat. It just the full on dude vibe. It's just so chill.
All the
And he plays
fringe.
that, and you just feel it. You just feel that aura come off of him, and I love it.
Yeah. Now, Jessa, you have a few costumes that you wear in the show. A few of which are not a lot, but what's your favorite one?
Oh, great question. Yes, this is like the least amount of clothing I've worn on stage ever. But I'm also like fully clever. Like we're all in like tights and stuff. Like we're not stripping, even though we're strippers. Um, I would probably say the Van Halen shirt with the blue shorts. I don't know. I've worn those shorts before. Fun fact, Ashley and I were in a tap class way back in the day, and we wore that costume piece. So it's fun getting to rewear those.
Yeah,
And plus, it's very comfortable. Like it's the most comfortable costume I have the whole show. So I would say that's my favorite.
perfect. And then what about the costume that you don't wear?
Oh, I really like Stacey Jax's look and his vibe. He comes out in this amazing wig, leather, or sorry, not leather coat. He ends up in a leather thing, fur coat and boots and cheetah print and leopard, and it is ultimate 80s rock star fully.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to not Stacey Jax. I really like the epaulets that
Oh,
Andrew wear. I
yeah.
just think they're really fun.
Those are very fun. I wish they would stay on his shirt a little better, but they are very fun.
I loved that costume.
So then
Also, can I just take Regina's whole wardrobe home with me?
I think honestly, I think most of it's hers.
I know. I keep talking to her like, can I take this? Can I borrow it?
Yeah, the vest and all of her scarves and maybe one skirt are all of CPTs that I was able to pull out of a bin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we've got definitely some Regina clothes in there. Um, one other thing that I want to make sure we talk about because people who may be newer to community players maybe have never seen this before, but there is a live band on stage. And the last time we had live music was in 2018 with Into the Woods. And then prior to that, whenever Rent was, and I don't even think the live band went up with that one.
We did have a live band for Miscast
Before,
in
Oh,
2021,
that's right.
but it was a four-person like two keys, bass, and I think a little bit of percussion, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
you are correct.
So we did have it, but like
I
it was
think
a different scale for sure.
Yeah.
I think the last full pit orchestra before Into the Woods was Shrek. Um, so that was my first show because I played in the pit and was on stage.
Oh, that's right. You're one of the pigs, weren't you?
I was piggy number two. Thank you very
Piggy number
much.
two. Specific.
But no, yes, I thank you for bringing it up because yes, we have a rock band on stage and they
That's
are
the
looking
best thing ever.
fantastic and it's such an energy shift when the downbeat is right there in your face and they're on stage and you see it and it just takes over the room. It's oh, it's such a cool thing.
I think our best rehearsal was our sitz probe rehearsal. A sitz
Huh?
probe, if you don't know what that is a quote unquote seated rehearsal where the live musicians and like cast come together. We didn't sit most of the time, as people will joke, but that rehearsal was so much fun. The first time we heard like the opening number, just everyone's faces were just so much awe and happy, and it was a really cool experience to be a part of. And there's just something about live theater and live music. You don't get the same thing every night. We try to, but it just makes each performance unique.
Yeah, you guys actually kind of both just answered my question that I was going to ask next. So obviously you both have done stuff at CPT with a live band now and with the canned music. I guess, what are the pros and cons of each for anyone who might be thinking, oh, it can't be that hard, or wow, that's got to be really difficult?
There are, like you said, there are pros and cons to each. Um, One of the cons is musicians who work hard are talented deserve compensation for what they do. And it would be difficult as a non-for-profit theater to compensate appropriately to have musicians every time. Also, we just don't have a ton of space. Having them on stage as a five-person band makes a difference versus trying to fit a full orchestra anywhere else backstage. If you haven't been backstage at our theater before, it's pretty tight back there. We have lots of fun things back there. Um, I think the canned music just makes shows more accessible to a community theater of our size. Um, I love that as an actor, you have consistency from day one of what you will hear every time, so you are able to get used to the music that you'll hear. Um, but I don't know. Like I said, there's just something about a live band that just adds some excitement and energy that canned music won't.
Absolutely. Nick, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, the big thing is, my pro and con is like it is the consistency side of it. So if you get the canned music, the great thing is you're going to get those tracks to work with from day one. So you know, like it's one less thing on your plate during tech week to fold into the full performance. Um, so you have those, you get to work with them, you can get some timing down. The con is even with having someone running at a laptop and being able to do some things and some pauses here or there, when a track is going, if there's not something built in case someone goes up on a line and forgets a line, or someone misses an entrance, you kind of are just stuck to where you just have to try and catch up and find the right spot to come in. Where
Hmm.
with this band, especially, there were so many weird entrances with how many songs and mashups are in Rock of Ages that we were having more issues without the live band because of how the tracks worked. They're like, if we were off by a measure, you just kind of play it off on stage and the band's just ready to go, like, oh no, we'll vamp, they're ready to go, and they'll just come in or they'll follow you. It is much more of a give and take. And it, like I said before, just when you first hear it, it adds an energy level every night. There's you always get amped up for the performance, but there's still this whole other level that hits when the live music starts
Hmm.
and your brain just clicks like, all right, let's get that extra adrenaline pumping. The extra adrenaline pumping.
Yeah, and then Nick, you might have to help me on dates here because I know Jessa had mentioned there's not a lot of space for us to put a band, and anyone who's been around at CPT for a long time knows like, oh, well, they never always used to be backstage. We used to have the pit. Do you remember when we filled the pit in?
I don't remember there being a pit.
Yeah.
When we did Shrek, it was the pit was set up, the pit orchestra performed in the shop.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So that was, and we've added more and more things to that shop, knowing we don't use pit orchestras as much. It would be
Right.
very hard to fit like a 12, 13 person orchestra back there. But I haven't, there had never been a true pit since I've been with CPT.
That's okay, that's valid. I'll have to check with Bruce because yeah, the downstage right where that door is on the floor by the alleyway, that used to be open. Um,
Okay.
and that got filled in. But I can't remember when they did that because I remember there being That's where the pit was when I did Les Mis in 2009, because we were able to see them from like our peripherals. And I just can't remember when we filled that in.
That is 100% why we have Bruce.
Exactly. So we will figure that out. So yeah, anyone who saw, CPT in the 2000s might remember the actual pit. But we don't have that anymore. It's been filled in to add more room for stage space in front of our stage right proscenium. And then just in general, what has been your guys' favorite moment or experience or even like candid moment that's happened on stage during
For
the show? I
me,
should specify.
oh no, for me, for Rock of Ages, it was when the first night for preview night, when we finally had people in the audience that hadn't heard the jokes for 4 weeks in a row. Um, because like I've kind of said, I break the fourth wall a lot and I mess with the audience, and talking to an empty space for multiple weeks in a row really just messes with your head. So getting that first feedback and be like, okay, no, we got this. We've got a show. That was what really kicked it in and has been pushing me through the first weekend and is getting me amped up for this weekend coming up.
There you go. Jessa, what about you?
I think I said mine earlier. The Sid's Pro rehearsal is like
Yeah.
my favorite experience. Um, but I think just overall, there are so many new people in this cast, which I
Yes.
know we say every time, but like this show is primarily new, like first or second time at CPT folks, and it has been so refreshing to get to meet such incredible humans and like share in music and like collaboration and community. And it's just awesome to see. Nick was reminding me of like, that first time you come off stage, when you've done it for a long time, while you still get that like high or that like that joy from it, just seeing the joy of those cast members their very first time, um, being out in that audience was really special to see.
Yeah, and if I may just say, like, lots of new people, absolutely, but the vocal talent in this show is it I can't think of a word to describe it, but it is literally insane. Like, especially because we had talked earlier about this is very different. This is a very different type of singing compared to your traditional musical theater. And the fact that it's being executed so flawlessly, um, it's really unmatched from what people I think would have heard of on that was not grammar, but whatever, than what people have seen on CPT stage before. And I mean, the end of I'm gonna get the name of the song wrong. End of Act One, Harden My Heart. Is that the song?
Yeah. Heart of My Heart
I
Oh,
Second Night.
yeah. Yes, those two, that mashup. I get so emotional backstage every time I hear Shireen sing the end of that song. And I don't know if it's like just a proud mom moment or something that I have backstage, but I get so emotional because I am like so proud of her and the amazing job she does on that song. And with everybody else in general, like there's just this weird connection, and you're just so proud of everyone that they are nailing these songs and executing them so well. I just had to say that.
No, Shireen's a badass, that's for sure.
He really
I
is.
mean, shout out to Leah and Dan and Shireen, all three
Yeah.
of them throughout rehearsals, whipping us into shape and keeping us healthy, as Nick mentioned. Like they are incredible vocalists and
Mhm.
incredibly talented in how they teach and work with people. Um, it's been one of the best experiences of like working with a music staff that I've had. And it's so encouraging. Learned a lot, like just so many, like they are just incredible. And I think because of their leadership, it really translates into not only the talent that people bring in, but like what has been produced for sure.
Yeah.
and I think that kind of carries over to why we love the song High Enough so much,
Mhm.
because it's one of the few times most people backstage aren't sprinting around. So they're all actually all together back by the backstage mic to help add the chorus to it. And Andrew and Shireen are belting their faces off up
Yeah.
front. Um, and it's just nice because everyone's kind of in one place and we can all just focus on the vocals of it, and it just hits every night.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's one thing that I adore that I really hope we keep is that backstage projector that we've got going on for that pit choir. I think that just needs to be a permanent thing.
Thank you, Ben Miller.
Thank you, Ben
Yeah,
Miller.
that needs to stay just because
Yes, agreed.
I mean, I'm sure that like I mean, yes, that pit choir, they sound amazing, but I'm sure it like gets them hyped up seeing you guys on stage. And it really does make a difference and it makes backstage more, I don't want to say more enjoyable because it's never not fun, but it just adds a different element to it. So I'm going to petition for that to stay.
I mean, when I've sung backstage at shows before, not that I've been a full, I don't remember the show I've been in that's had a specifically like backstage choir, like people
Right.
only in that role. Like for most shows at CPT, you'll end up doing that anyway. But not having a tiny black and white box, you have like the full stage able
Yeah.
to view. And I don't know, I feel very engaged when I'm back there. So yes, please keep it.
I don't think it's hurting anything. And it worked out really well. Might encourage more pit choirs too.
Sure,
Um,
absolutely.
so now that we've talked about the show, we obviously have 2 more weekends that it's running. Nick, can you tell us how people can come see the show?
Come to Robin Hood Lane, and get your tickets. You can call the box office at 309-663-2121. I will always have that number memorized from being the box office chair for a while. But yeah, the next 2 weekends, we still have tickets available. You can also go to communityplayers.org to purchase tickets online as well. Please come join us and rock out. Let me yell at you from the stage.
And Jessa, what are the show times and days?
Our performances will be tomorrow, the 14th, through the 16th, as well as the following weekend, the 21st through the 23rd. Fridays and Saturdays are evening performances at 7:30, with Sunday performances being at 2:30 p.m.
All right, well, I won't keep you guys. Enjoy your night off before performances start again tomorrow. So everyone come and check out Rock of Ages at Community Players Theater happening for the next 2 weekends. This is going to be airing on Friday the 14th. I think tomorrow's the 14th.
Yep.
On Friday the 14th. So we start back up tonight. So thank you guys so much. And I hope you have a fabulous final 2 weekends.
Thank you so
Thank you. Thank
much.
you.